Hello, my name is Grant, and this is the Video Boys review for the movie GoldenEye. Before GoldenEye was a video game for the Nintendo Wii, GoldenEye was a video game for the Nintendo 64. And before that, it was a movie starring Pierce Brosnan on James Bond's 17th big screen adventure. Wait, Brosnan? What happened to Dalton? Well, after License to Kill completed production in 1989, the Bond series underwent a 6-year hiatus before the next film would be released. Because of this, GoldenEye involves a bit of retooling with the franchise while still furthering the modern Bond era. The first act of this movie is carried out in a unique way so as to reacquaint the audience with the James Bond character, as well as to introduce us to the new cast. An exciting shootout scene and a dive without a parachute reminds us of how awesome Bond still is, and the driving scene reminds us of how much fun he still is.
I enjoy a spirited ride as much as the next girl, but... Who's that?
The next girl.
Brosnan's relaxed, lighthearted attitude brings me back to Sean Connery's acting as Bond in the earlier films. It's really nice. It's like seeing an old friend again.
Vodka martini. Shaken, not stirred.
At MI6, we meet the new Moneypenny. She's actually a lot of fun, and for the first time in a Bond film, this sentence is said.
You know, this sort of behavior could qualify as sexual harassment.
The times, they are a-changin'.
Someday you have to make good on your innuendos.
Maybe not. This is also the first time that Judi Dench plays M, and it's definitely entertaining. She wastes no time in establishing herself as a strong character that brings a new energy to the series.
Because I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War, whose boyish charms, though wasted on me, obviously appeal to that young woman I sent out to evaluate you.
Ouch! And then there's Q. Whoa, wait a second. Is that still the same Q? Gosh, she's so old.
Now, 007, do please try and return some of this equipment in pristine order. Don't touch that. It's my lunch.
And he's still funny. Wow. Anyway, so the plot of this movie revolves around Bond traveling to Russia in order to find the culprit responsible for an attack that used a satellite weapon called GoldenEye.
I want you to find GoldenEye. Find who took it, what they plan to do with it, and stop it.
An interesting aspect of this movie is that the female lead, Natalia, doesn't actually meet Bond until over an hour into the movie. Before that, she's shown to be an intriguing character with a story all on her own, completely independent of Bond, something really different for the series. It's clear from this that the filmmakers didn't want a love story to be the central element in the movie, as that had pretty much been done before, 16 times. So this movie doesn't go in that direction.
No. No more foreplay.
Innovation is the key here. We get a post-Cold War backdrop, but while it is heavily referenced, it isn't the key focus of the film. Bond is. Sure, we get some interesting side characters. We get this Russian general guy. We get this Russian hit woman that gets off sexually to killing people. And we get Boris, who's invincible.
I am invincible!
But the main interest points in this movie revolve entirely around our main character, and rightly so. So, exactly how much character development is in this movie? Well, get this. Bond doesn't even leave for his mission until nearly an hour into the movie. That is innovation. But this isn't to say that GoldenEye lacks action scenes. There's still a lot of shootouts, hand-to-hand combat fights, and even a cool chase scene in the second act. Boom! Bond eventually learns that Agent 006, an agent he thought he saw killed at the beginning of the movie,
For England, James!
is behind the evil plot. 006's motivations for turning against his country are made clear in this little speech he gives at the graveyard. But this really isn't what's most interesting or innovative about this character. Instead, it's the insight on Bond's character that 006 provides.
What's the matter, James? No glib remark? No pithy comeback? But where your parents had the luxury of dying in a climbing accident. I might as well ask you if all the vodka martinis ever silenced the screams of all the men you've killed. Or if you find forgiveness in the arms of all those willing women for all the dead ones you failed to protect. 007's loyalty was always to the mission, never to his friend.
Oh, shoot. He's right. While the Dalton films had attempted to sort of retcon Bond's tendency to place his mission before the well-being of his allies, GoldenEye pretty much outright calls Bond's character into question.
So, back where we started, James. Your friend or the mission?
I choose both.
But in the end, 007 learned the lesson that emotional detachment isn't always the best philosophy.
For England, James?
No. For me.
GoldenEye is not only an exciting, humor-filled, character-driven, emotional, thrilling, entertainment addition to the Bond franchise, but it's also a very necessary film in transitioning James Bond's character into a post-Cold War world. While we continue to see the character of Bond evolving to a point of self-awareness that wasn't present in the earlier movies, GoldenEye continues to innovate on the Bond formula by adding new depth to the character while still remaining respectful and referential to the Bond we've seen in the past, something a certain other Bond film will fail to do years later. But while MI6 may be under scrutiny from a changing world, we still find that there will always be a need for
Bond. James Bond.